This is Winning Cures Everything. Here's your host, Gary Seegers.
It is Tuesday, April the 9th. This is Winning Cures Everything. I'm your host, Gary Seegers. You can follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE. You can follow the show at Winning Cures. You can get us on Facebook, facebook.com/Winning Cures Everything. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to all the podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Make it easy on yourself. Go to winningcureseverything.com. That's got everything that you need about the show. We do this every day for 10 to 20 minutes roundabout. So if you're new to the show, welcome in. We appreciate you being here. Looking forward to seeing some comments and whatnot today. I'll go on and give you the rundown on what we will be discussing. Today, we're talking about Virginia and Texas Tech. We're going to recap the championship game from last night. We are going to talk about the odds for the 2020 college basketball season. We are going to discuss UCLA's hire of Mick Cronin. Alabama and Oklahoma have scheduled a home-and-home series. We'll give you the dates on that. And Tennessee sports betting will tell you what happened with the bill today in the legislature. So let's go ahead and jump into this. The show brought to you by mybookie.ag. You can use promo code WCE50, that's WCE50, to get a 50% deposit bonus. Easy enough, right? 50% deposit bonus. You put in $500, they're going to give you $250. You put in $100, they're going to give you $50. Whatever it is, they're going to match it 50%. MyBookie.ag, the best online sports book. They got the best layout. They got the best odds. They've got the best payouts. You know, everything about it is awesome. Go check it out for yourself. If you don't believe me, you can go look for yourself. MyBookie.ag, promo code WCE50. You get a 50% deposit bonus. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Virginia 85, Texas Tech 77. The game went to overtime. DeAndre Hunter was otherworld last night. 27 points, 9 rebounds. Kyle Guy had 24 points. Virginia had they were 11 of 24 from 3 last night. Really good efficiency. There's a reason they were the number 1 or number 2, whatever it was. I think Gonzaga was 1. Number 2 offensive efficiency team in the country. They understood how to attack Texas Tech's defense. That's the thing that a lot of people didn't realize. These two offenses are used to playing against really good defenses. So, of course, they understood you got to be careful with the basketball. You got to be efficient in what shots you take. Now, you did see some bad offensive play. You saw guys that would not take wide-open shots because they didn't want to take the three, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I think Charles Barkley actually pointed that out last night, but if you watched in real time, you would notice they're not doing anything. Like they're not just taking quick shots just for the sake of having a quick shot. So teams that like to run up tempo, they'll do that. And especially in the first 4 minutes of the game where, I think it was 2-2 at the under-16 or 3-2 at the under-16 timeout. These teams eventually will warm up. Texas Tech took 30 three-point shots. They only took 63 field goals for the game, so that was almost 50% of their shots were from 3. Now, they hit 10 of them, which is pretty good, 30% or 33%, but not quite good enough. We weren't quite there yet. So, but yeah, slow start. I grabbed the over 110 live line when the game started so slow. I also had over 117.5. I also had Virginia -1. I parlayed both of those. It was a fun night. It was a good night, a profitable evening. That was a really epic. I guess we could say epic. That was an epic national championship game. Two teams that had not been there before. Two teams that were playing for their first ever national championship in college basketball. That was a fun basketball game. When you have high-level teams, regardless of whether they just play defense or whatever, that's the deal, right? That's what you're looking for is good basketball, and both of these teams played well. These are good basketball teams. Chris Beard is a fantastic coach. Tony Bennett, a fantastic coach. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was profitable for me, and for those of you that watched the show yesterday, this was a good night. A good night. So let's talk about the college basketball odds for 2020. Because, of course, the Westgate Super Book automatically puts those up right after. The odds to win the 2020 national championship, we'll just go through, some of the top teams right here. And it's teams that you've heard before. And if you notice me scratching my nose on the video, allergies are driving me insane right now. It doesn't matter. Claritin, Zyrtec, whatever, doesn't matter. I get on here and it's bonkers. But I'm like this all day. It's frustrating. Anyway, odds to win the 2020 national championship from the Westgate Super Book in Vegas. Kentucky and Virginia both at 7-1. Kentucky, yeah, they're going to be talented again. I'm always amazed at this. And if you wonder, this is not like a power rating, right? That's not what this is. The power ratings are completely different. These are based on how many bets they think they are going to get. Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State, Michigan, North Carolina, those teams are always going to have a significant amount of bets placed on them by their own fans. So you keep the odds low in order to limit your risk, right? So here's what we got. Kentucky and Virginia both 7-1. Duke and Michigan State both 8-1. Michigan 12-1. North Carolina, Villanova, and Gonzaga all 14-1. Arizona, surprising there. Kansas, Louisville, and Oregon are all 20-1. Mississippi State, Tennessee, Auburn, and Texas Tech are all 30-1, and so on and so on. No real surprises in there. I was not shocked by this at all. You got some long shots here. Marquette at 50-1. It looks like Marcus Howard could return to school, and if he does that, they're going to return their entire starting five from a team that really tanked towards the end of the season. But, they were within a game of winning the Big East. Marquette could really be a good basketball team next year. So that 50-1 shot is a little surprising to me. Cincinnati is at 60-1. We're going to get to Mick Cronin leaving here in a little bit. Florida and Iowa State are all 60-1. LSU 80-1. Maryland 80-1. Memphis 80-1. Purdue and Syracuse both 60-1. Creighton and Ohio State. Seton Hall, Washington, Xavier all 80-1. So here's the deal. Don't make any bets on these yet. Obviously, they put these out for fun, and they will take your bets if you go out to Vegas and you bet in the Superbook. I would recommend not doing that until you know exactly who's going, who's staying, who's coming in. They still got a whole summer worth of grad transfers to figure out. Texas Tech's lineup wasn't even set until August last year, so you don't know who's going to show up, who's going to make a difference, etc., what coaches might leave, etc. The Cincinnati 60-1, I guarantee you that will not be 60-1 even tomorrow, right? So because UCLA hires Mick Cronin today. We're going to jump into that. UCLA, Rick Barnes turned them down, went back to Tennessee. I think it's basically going to be considered a lifetime deal. Barnes is, 64, 65 years old? I don't know that he's going to coach too terribly much longer, 10 years at the max. But if he's not leaving for UCLA, I don't envision him leaving for any other gig. He turned down Kentucky once upon a time before Tubby Smith took that job. He has now turned down UCLA. I don't know that there's any other coach that's actually going to do that. Turn down Kentucky and UCLA. They hired Cronin, and he was their fourth choice. The reason they went after the first three that they did, from what I understand, is they wanted an experienced Power 5 coach that has proven it at multiple stops. And that makes sense, right? Calipari, Jamie Dixon, Rick Barnes. Barnes was at Texas and Tennessee and Clemson. Jamie Dixon at Pittsburgh and TCU. Calipari, not a ton of Power 5s, but you know what he is, right? UMass, Memphis, Kentucky. And he's been successful everywhere. Cronin was successful at Murray State for a couple of years. But then, after that, he's at Cincinnati for however long it's been. 16 years, maybe not quite that much. He was 296 and 147 overall at Cincinnati. What's crazy is if Alabama had made the hire of Mick Cronin, people would have thought this is a home run hire, this is great, da-da-da-da. And then you see national media come in and say, oh, wow, Mick Cronin, like he's never even been to an Elite Eight. He's only been to one Sweet 16. But here's the deal. At Cincinnati, you are working from a different level, right? So Xavier, I understand, had been to a few Elite Eights, but like when you get into the tournament, it is a complete crapshoot. Tony Bennett not being to a Final Four was just unluck. Like it was not because of any one thing that he did wrong. It wasn't a style of play. It wasn't whatever. Because that same style of play, that same thing that he was doing, won him a national championship last night. So Cronin, I think, is perfect for this job. He's going to implement defense. He's going to be a hard-nosed coach. He got a 6-year, $24 million deal. That's $4 million a year. I like the pick. I think UCLA did a fantastic job. I'm pumped about it. I really, really like this. Let's move on from there. Alabama and Oklahoma have scheduled a home-and-home series. Now, we talk about these from time to time whenever they pop up. Last year, Alabama scheduled Texas for 2022-2023 and Notre Dame for 2028 and 2029. Just a few months ago, they scheduled West Virginia for 2026 and 27. And then now Oklahoma and Alabama 2032 and 2033. Now, when you first look at that, it's, holy crap, that is so far away, we won't even know who anybody is, and da-da-da-da, which, yeah, you're probably right. But in the grand scheme of things, 2032 is only 13 years away. I mean, that's not that far. So while it is time-wise a long distance in the future, it's really not when you look at the grand scheme of things. So I'm pumped about this. I like these kind of matchups. You know, we saw that we've got Georgia and Notre Dame playing next year. We got Georgia and Clemson scheduled out in the future. You got Florida State and Georgia. Like these kind of matchups matter, especially in today's college football, where you don't have as many people going to the games, right? People want made-for-TV games. You want the ratings to go up, especially if you are looking to continue that TV money now that the bubble has effectively burst. That's the biggest thing, right? ESPN, Fox Sports 1, etc., they will continue to pay for this stuff, but you have to give them a reason to pay for it because they are not bringing in as much money as they were when they first started giving out these crazy deals. The price of this stock is going up, but the income for these middlemen for ESPN and whatever channels, it's going down for them. So that becomes a problem. But I do like the games. Alabama and Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame, Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Clemson, Georgia, Florida State, et cetera, and these are not neutral site games. So we're kind of getting away from neutral sites, and I'm a fan of that. And finally, we'll close out with this. The Tennessee sports betting bill that I was discussing yesterday that went to a vote today, it is advancing in the House of Representatives. It briefly stalled amid bipartisan concerns, but the legislation, House Bill 1, it passed with a 12-5 vote. So now we go through one more stage of voting to approve it and whatnot, and it will be for mobile betting to be legalized in the state of Tennessee. Now, one interesting thing that they did is they have added a list of types of people that are prohibited from making sports wagers. So, for example, the athletes and team owners involved, the people who run the sports betting operations, and others with influence over a game's outcome, it is a misdemeanor if they cast bets on this. So that's an interesting little nugget on that. Along with that, they have put back money from this that will go towards gambling addiction. I think it's a smart move. And I'm sure that others do this, but Tennessee, it's become public. Like they are releasing that along with the information about the bill. The bill advances to the House Government Operations Committee. The Senate version is scheduled to be heard later Tuesday in the Senate State and Local Government Committee. So we will hear more about this later on because obviously we don't have any more right now. But this is good. This is good. The money will be, let's see, one of the guys that was in this, Representative David Hawk, He pointed out he was one of 2 representatives in the room present when legislature voted on establishing an education lottery. He said that they saw night and day differences in the sports betting bill and the lottery program. You had to have some other reason for sports betting as opposed to we're just going to do it, right? So a lot of this it's going to be great, right, for the state of Tennessee, because you're not going to have people coming down to Mississippi going to Arkansas where they are opening up new casinos, etc. There will be no brick and mortar. It will be in-state on your phone. I'm pumped about it. I think it's going to be good for the state of Tennessee. The state of Indiana is going through something as well. They are not approving mobile gambling. They're only doing brick and mortar shops. We'll see exactly how that goes and how long it lasts. Kind of the same with Mississippi. Eventually, Mississippi will pass mobile gambling, but we ain't quite there yet. We appreciate you checking out the show today. We're going to do it again tonight. Chris and I are getting together. We're going to discuss some NFL stuff, some college football stuff, etc. So join us this evening. We're going to try and go live around 6 p.m. We will see you guys at that point. But as always, check out the show at winningcureseverything.com. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us some comments. Leave nice reviews on the podcast. Subscribe to it. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.